Miss Clarence is beady-eyed and known by name as the Devil. There were tricks, of course, but she tried to stamp them out. Notice, it is Miss, not Mrs. Something the children laughed at her for. In fact, some even compare her to Hitler. One child asked if she believed in eugenics. How displeasing, she thought, but curious as to how a 14-year-old had heard of eugenics. There had also been a lot spoken of religion and the past. Along with this, a seemingly continuous discussion of gender roles and ideas being thrown around that were not in accordance with her moral code. She did first believe it to be Andrew Tate and the like, but something else had run into her mind, and what was more curious about this was that for reasons unknown, she had run out of ideas of what to say. She could feel the truth. She was staring it in the face, yet there was a hesitancy to discuss from her prefrontal cortex. She locked the discussion box and threw away the key. The following day, it was a wet day. A fair few of Miss Clarence's class had just not shown up. This was not regular. It had been 11 past the hour of 12, and Mr. Barnett asked her if she was seeing the same thing. He suggested they had a little word by the water cooler. This is old school. Water cooler. Feels like we're really part of the working world now. This sort of comment, the references, the meta-analysis of daily life, this was typical of Mr. Barnett. This is why he's risen to be head of the sports division, and he's probably on par to become head teacher. And, well, of course, he's a handsome fellow as well, drives an Audi, and so, in the world we live in, naturally, he's allowed the privilege of saying things that would get others laughed at, not with, and Miss Clarence, she was laughing with him, all the way along. Mr. Barnett, this was supposed to be serious, and you've got me wetting myself at the water cooler. What are you here to divulge? Thinking for a second or two too long, Mr. Barnett had frozen up. His joints, no vocal cords, could find some lubricant. His cogs had somehow curiously clogged up. His eyes opened once more, and coming to his senses, realised that he in fact could not either express himself in the eyes of such a problem. Miss Clarence had recognised what had happened. They both nodded, turned their backs, and walked away. The bell rang on dinner time. The noise of 400 children rising from their seats was enough to tell you that. The opening of the doors, the slamming of the chairs, it syncopated lightly with the bell. Ryan expressed this to his friend Johnny, who was definitely in agreement. This was a groove. Johnny was an eccentric, but a switched-on one, and Ryan always had someone to spitball with through class, so this was a good thing. Would you rather have 200 Alicia Vikander AI clone robots or a dinner with Jay-Z? Says Ryan. Johnny takes a second to disassociate, and his talent, in fact, was simulating the feeling of a cryogenic chamber within his mind only. There was great wisdom in him, hence why Ryan asks such intellectual questions. Well, I think I'd rather have 200 Alicia Vikander clones, simply because, should you have a dinner with Jay-Z, of course there's wisdom, business, music, but I, however, my friend, would take these 200 AI clones, sell one, invest the capital in laptops and webcams, then I'd create a chat room and charge the sad men, and run off to the hill out back and probably build a house. What? Why out back? Here in rainy Birmingham? He'd thought of taking the intercontinental approach. He'd read a book one day about Switzerland. Neutrality. Birmingham was these days not good. A park bench in the mountains would bring better chances of living the good life. There were people who said he should be a TV presenter, but he couldn't see himself becoming even a supermarket worker should he stay here. That's because strange things had been happening. Oh, it'll be a chicken burger for me, but we'll see if we've even got time to get one. Ryan, do you remember a few years ago, around 2000, maybe 10, and we didn't have to queue for half an hour? Ryan is suddenly pushed from a skirmish to his right. There were 3 boys on the floor. One was very fat and very embarrassed in being pushed over. This had exposed his belly to the world. The others, skinny, with small moustaches. It was very chaotic, and Ryan and Johnny had no idea what they were saying. Sometimes it didn't even sound like English to them at all. It is not English, brother. It is Urdu, brother. Johnny's classmate for physical education is called Mo. and he explains that there's been a fight because his cousin, also called Mo, and his friend called Mo, a photo of a girl they all liked. They actually hadn't seen her in school for weeks. Mo had gotten it from his uncle and they all fought to see it. I believe, brother, this is because his uncle knows her in some way. Ryan thought that was strange, and just as he was about to ask the question, he felt his gesticulating hand to have somehow become solid and immovable. Johnny opened his mouth, presumably to fill the dead air of Ryan's silence, can get but one word out before finding himself engaged with the very same impediment. Both stood in silence. One child compared it to Frozone from The Incredibles. The bell then rang, and dinner was over, yet Miss Clarence, Mr. Barnett, Johnny and Ryan were found unable to move. The rest of the children had found themselves in a paradise. Two of the highest ranking officers checked out of G. Hitler and Goebbels gone. There was initially a loud roar, which developed into a sudden realization. The second this penny dropped, swarms of teenagers were let loose. The majority just left, walked out, but some, they stayed. Some of them took off the teachers' clothes and took revealing photos. Others, they fought, making use of the gym. But most left were burning things, smashing computers. The ring of the bell, leading into period 4 in fact, woke up at the sunken lot. Miss Clarence was found to be stark naked and screamed. Mr. Barnett too. There were few jokes here that would land for him. He was far too exposed to let fly anything. Johnny and Ryan had been left alone, apart from the 2 black eyes on each of the left side of their faces and a pen that was stuck into Ryan's arm. He realised this and passed out. All of the children have by now left, and Johnny is on the floor, trying to stop the bleeding. Miss Clarence is putting her clothes back on. As she puts her shirt on, the tears from her body leave stains on her shirt. Mr. Barnett lets it hang for a little while longer, looking for his phone that, apparently, has been stolen. Miss Clarence offers her phone to him. He opens it and a video of himself pops up. It's himself, naked, recorded by the children with shouts of pedo, pedo, pedo ringing around. Everybody in the school had received this. Some 2 days later. School says the children caused death during lunchtime frenzy. The police have not been able to confirm this as of yet, but here's the latest. We're aware that 3 people have died, 2 teachers and a student who all cannot be named as of now. The only known survivor was a student. Here he is talking to us this morning. The daytime TV transition turned to Johnny's face. He was moving his lips, trying to utter words, but nothing would come. Intermittently, he would be able to discuss the day as it happened. He recalled the discussion with Ryan in the hallway just before lunch. Cries would fill the spaces in between his words for his lost friend. He recalled the cigarette he smoked with him before entering school, but as soon as he began to discuss what had frozen him first, his mouth became a less useful tool once more. Then came the chief inspector. On Tuesday afternoon, we heard a report of loud noises and commotion from a street nearby the school in question, and for one caller, we did not believe this to be a high-level enough event to intervene, so as a result, we made contact with our trusty community leaders here in Birmingham, who can keep us in the loop and keep an eye for us. Now, this has been a big commotion, but a very sad one. We can't understand why or how this happened, but we have to thank our community leaders for providing us for clarity. They will do the absolute best that they can, and we will help along the way. We'll continue to investigate further. We have questioning tomorrow of the survivor. He cannot be named as of now, but trust me, this is an active case. Rest assured, we're looking at him as a suspect. As a suspect.